Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. So far, so good with the new sheep arrangement. The boys are behaving themselves. I've got the two of them in the original paddock, and I have Evie in the shed paddock by herself. And she seems to be settling into that. For the first couple of days, she kind of didn't really leave the side where she could see through to where the boys were. But now she seems quite happy to graze around the other side as well. So that's really good. Of course, the issue that I mentioned last week, which was that there is no afternoon shade in the shed paddock, became an issue that very weekend. The sun came out, it was hot, it was still, and she had no shade, and it was really quite warm, especially since we've had quite cool days up until then. I was actually away at the Tea Time Yarn Retreat Market, so Adam did me a huge favour and he put a shade sail out across part of the paddock so that Evie was able to have some shade. It seems to be working okay. It's quite low, but she can get underneath and it does provide quite a good area. And then on my way back from there, I picked up a market umbrella because I thought she probably needed a bit more shade, and we weren't sure if the shade sail was going to be right in terms of lifting and all of that kind of stuff to have something permanently up. So first we tried the umbrella all the way up with the full length of the pole. We just attached it to a star picket. So for the first 2 days we had it up, it was totally fine because it was very still and hot and it cast really great shade. So that was perfect. But then, of course, the weather turned a bit nasty. We've had some like gusty winds and rain, and so it blew over. So I thought that by taking the pole off the bottom and just having it sort of from the winder up from the ground would be better because there'd be less for it to catch. But doing it that way was okay for a while until the winds got a little bit too crazy. And then again, it blew over. And the problem with having the winder so close to the ground was that I couldn't actually wind the umbrella down again. So of course, if it's up and it's windy and rainy, it's going to catch in the wind. So at the moment, I've taken that umbrella down and she's just got the shade sail, and I think that that's okay. But we are going to try and alter the market umbrella to make it work. We're thinking that we can now that we kind of know what height will work in terms of being reasonably stable in the paddock, we can cut the pole so that we have enough relief off the ground to be able to get the umbrella to fold all the way back down again and to be able to use the winder. So we probably will have about this much of the bottom pole and then have the actual umbrella part sticking on top. So I've got a little bit of work to do to cut, change, fix that. But then I'll be able to have an umbrella that I can wind up and down as the weather changes within the paddock. And when we have them all back together across both paddocks, I'll probably continue to use that as an extra space where they can have some shade. Now, coming into maybe summer, as I said, we did have a few of those warmer days. We figured that we needed to get our bonfire pile burnt before restrictions come in and we're no longer able to, and we end up with this big pile of stuff that is just going to have to sit there. We chose a day this week where it had rained overnight, so the ground was quite wet. There wasn't too much of a wind, and so we lit it up. And so we've gotten rid of a lot of rubbish. We kind of went back through the shed and found cardboard boxes and bits and pieces that we were scraps of wood and things like that we can just get rid of. So it was quite a good little clear out to get things burnt and gone. I also had been cleaning up in here, and I had quite a big bag of paper and yarn scraps and cardboard. So I was able to get all that burnt as well. So this space feels much cleaner as well. So that was a really good thing to get done this week, because I think now that we're getting a few more sunny days in a row, it's not going to be long until fire restrictions are in. And with everything being able to have grown so much, it's not going to take long before everything's quite dry and the risk of fire will be really quite high. This past weekend, we had my aunt and uncle and cousins over for a little Christmas celebration, which was really nice. We had brunch together, and normally for our Christmas, like KK presents, we have come up with this. It's a $10 op shop only rule, which is quite fun because it's funny how much you can actually get from an op shop for $10 and some of the weird and wacky things that we've been able to gift each other. But this year, my aunt kind of cheated a little bit. Instead of that, she actually gave me her spinning chair. So technically, it didn't cost her anything to buy because it's like been passed down through her family, and she's chosen to pass it down to me, which is so special. Um, we talked about it, I think, last time she'd come at Christmas, and she'd seen both my spinning wheels, and she knew that I'm like really into all of that stuff. So it had been sitting in a storage unit, and she thought that it was much better off being out and used and appreciated by me here in the shed than sitting in a storage unit in the city. It's really beautiful, and I feel really honoured that I've been able to now have it as part of my workspace and craft space over here. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of a rearranging of the furniture here to put the spinning wheel and spinning chair in like a real pride of place kind of spot. I'd kind of just been like shuffling the wheel around a little bit, really not sure where it was going. It was kind of, I just sort of pull it out to use it and put it back in the corner again. So I am moving the furniture around a little bit. I've actually set up a slightly different recording situation, so I might take a photo of that so you can see the other way. And just working with the furniture in a little bit of a different way, moving the table and the chairs around a bit, moving my photo area, just thinking about how I really want to use the space, and yeah, making sure that that spinning wheel and spinning chair now have a really awesome spot so that I can look out over the bush and the farm while I sit in the shed and spin. I mentioned last week that I was going to dye up a batch of Fresh Start so that my sister could make me some sample squiggle mittens. So here is the Fresh Start dyed up. You can see it's got lots of pink and green in the bottom there. So she has a ball of this now, so she can start on that project. And I've put a few more batches of Fresh Start into the dye pots because as soon as I put it up on my Instagram feed, I got a message asking for some from a customer. So there will be some of that going out shortly to that person, and I'll try and get some up in the shop as well. I'm really excited to announce that I've been accepted into the Mooroolbark Wool Festival Market, which is on the 19th of March next year. So that will probably be my first big market for the year. I will be doing the Tea Time Yarn Retreat markets as they come up each month. But in terms of sort of a full open to the public yarn market, that will be my first one for the year. So that's marked on the calendar, and now I'm going to start to work back from there to get my dye schedule up and going to make sure that I have plenty of stock for that. Thinking about some potential new colors, as well as making sure that I've got all of my loved and favorite colors dyed up and ready to go. I need to take into account that I have my cruise holiday in early January. So everything will sort of start as soon as I get back from that. I'll close the shop over those week and a half that I'm away. And then once I get back, it'll be full on into Tea Time Yarn Retreat markets, hopefully some new sock class dates for Unwind Craft Cafe, and then the Mooroolbark Wool Festival. So an exciting start to the year that I know is already coming, and I've got my calendar all marked out, and I'm already thinking ahead as to how that's all going to happen so that I can be as organized and as hopefully relaxed as possible. I'd like to be well prepared and have plenty of yarn dyed up and not leave everything to the last minute. I felt that my preparation for She's Crafty and then the Big Wool Show actually went really well because I did plan out big chunks of dye time in advance and I wasn't putting that stock online. I was keeping it specifically for the market. So that's what I'm going to be doing moving forward as well. Some will go into the online shop, and if you need something, you can message me and I can absolutely do a custom order. But there will be stock that you'll probably see me dyeing on Instagram and that I might even share here. They may not end up being able to be purchased until one of the bigger markets. Again, I've only focused on the one project this week. I'm still working on Maze by Marie Amelie Designs. I have done so much work on the body. I have done the decreases at the bottom and now I have just started into the ribbing. So it's looking much more like a top now. I did try it on before I did the decrease round and it's sitting really nicely. So I feel like even though I haven't done the sleeves, I kind of will normally do the sleeves first because it will sort of pick up a little bit, but I did need a little bit extra in the body, knowing that it will cinch up a little bit when I add the sleeves in. So yeah, I've just started the ribbing. I do find that when I switch to doing ribbing, I have to really concentrate for those first few rounds, partly to establish the pattern, but also to make sure that I get my pearls nice and tight. And you kind of don't see that the ribbing is looking good until you're a few rows in. So, yeah, and then you don't have to think so much because you can actually follow the knits and pearls that you've already established. But that first round and even the second round, you kind of have to really do concentrate. So now I've got a few rows done. So I should be able to finish that maybe even this afternoon. And then I will be able to get on to the sleeves. So next week I should have some progress on the sleeves to show you. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.